Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining myself on this wonderfully sunny Thursday. I hope you've all had a good week so far. And this morning, we are going to be talking about the Microsoft Power Platform and how it can improve the processes within your business and how you can maximize this platform to its full advantage within a business setting. I'll get the show underway and we might see if more people join us as we go along. But just to introduce myself, first of all, I am Christopher Shanks. I'm head of technology at First Digital, very much focused on ensuring as a company that we are at the forefront of innovation, that we are always talking about new and upcoming technology, that we are enabling our customers to maximize their knowledge and their education of various technologies, including 365. My background ranges from being lucky enough to travel the world as a wireless network engineer to owning and managing my own technology consultation company. I joined First Digital at the start of September, and I'm really excited about the direction in which we're taking it and where we're going forward with the company. We do have a sister company, First Solution, that focuses on modern cloud workplace, IT support, and all the elements and the foundational parts of IT and infrastructure, such as your emails, your software, your backups, and cybersecurity. So to move us into the presentation this morning, just to start and explain something, a lot of people talk about digital transformation, and don't worry, this isn't going to be an earbend about how digital transformation can change the world. I guess it's just to set the scene a little bit, that a lot of people talk about digital transformation and don't really understand what it means, and they take it out of context. A lot of people talk about it when you're supposed to come in and dominate or disrupt a larger market, but we're not all in that situation where we can come in and be such a big disruption. So what does it mean to the SMEs, the small and medium businesses? Why do they even care about digital transformation? And it's because a lot of these big corporates, these big tech giants, the Netflixes and the Ubers, they hold up digital transformation as this golden solution to innovate the world. But for them, it's much easier to do. They've got entire teams of R&D. They've got directors of transformation. They've got endless budgets. And Facebook didn't make a profit for years. It was all about the idea. And a lot of small businesses just can't afford to take that approach. And so we think that, the SME market, they need to approach this digital transformation in a different way so that it shouldn't be so difficult and it shouldn't be so daunting. And with this digital transformation, it's been shown that a lot of money and time spent isn't really successful, and it's essentially wasted because for a business to adopt change, it has to have the right internal culture, and it has to be driven both from the top down, the executives down to the staff, but also from the staff up. They have to want to adopt the change and to see the benefits of moving forward. And we don't feel that smaller businesses can afford to waste thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds on software when they don't know the outcome. So we prefer to talk about digital evolution over digital transformation, because if you look through history, human beings, animals, we haven't transformed, we've evolved, because we go through nature and the bits that work well survive and the bits that don't work well die off. And academics such as Matthew Syed and Ryan Babineau propose that if we can accept failure and embrace it with a positive mindset, that we are on the path to success. And there are hundreds of examples of this through history. Thomas Edison with the light bulb, Steve Jobs with the Mac, and many more, where entrepreneurs and businessmen and animals and species have evolved through trial and error. But if you can embrace that and you can fail quickly and learn from your mistakes, you can continue moving forward and eventually reap the benefits of those improvements. And it's much quicker and cheaper to fail fast than it is to invest all this money on a system or a process or a transformation to not have the outcomes that you're expecting. And it's these traditional systems, these traditional big ERP front to back, cradle to grave systems that take so much time out of a business trying to implement. They're trying to redo the way that you do business, and no one knows your business better than you do. So why should this new system come in and try and change the way you work? They ask you to bend your company's processes to the way the system works, as opposed to taking your process and adapting the system to improve it and maximize that already successful working process that your business has been using for years. And also, big implementations don't have a lot of feedback along the way. You very much get 6-12 months down the line to deliver a project that you scoped back in month one. But in those 12 months, your business has changed. Look at this year. How many businesses have pivoted and changed and adapted to the environment? So if you've gone down the journey of implementing a rather large ERP CRM system, the end goal now might be very different to the end goal you had in mind 12 months ago, and you can't adopt that as you go, which is why these traditional systems, these big implementations, have some caveats and aren't the most productive use of time and money. And so as we look at the problems that businesses face, every business has challenges and problems on a daily basis, especially with the culture, the environment that changes at a rapid pace, and a lot of things, as we've seen this year, are outside of our control. But rather than trying to completely change the way you work and reinvent the wheel or find another 10,000 ways not to invent the light bulb, we find it's better to focus on what you can do today to impact your business. What are the pain points and challenges that come up? What's being discussed at the canteen and in the boardroom? And how can you bring those to life and address those today to have an impact and return on investment today, rather than waiting 6 months, 12 months for those to be realized? And the solution to this is a reimagination of how you bring together people, data, and processes to create value for your customers and maintain a competitive advantage in a digital-first world. Because the biggest single obstacle to progress is failing to learn from mistakes. But making mistakes and failing in that process is integral in the journey. It would be an incredible feat and probably unrealistic for a small company to become the next Facebook without the time and investment and the failings that they had. However, if they can begin to rethink the elements of their business and how they interact, they can evolve those ideas, those cultures, and they evolve into new systems and processes that will allow them to not only achieve their growth objectives, but become more relevant and leading in their sectors. And this is done by driving business outcomes through change. And this process is crucial, not just in the elements we're talking about today, but in driving any change through a business, defining your business outcomes, knowing what you would like to achieve so that you have a path and everyone understands the direction of travel. Defining use case scenarios. How will this person interact with this process? What is the output that we are expecting? So that you can map that and you can have those measurable, reportable KPIs to ensure that what you've achieved is what you were expecting. Securing executive sponsorship. We all know that if a manager or a senior exec or a senior management team don't want to do something, the rest of their team won't follow, because it's not being pushed and driven by the team leaders, the managers, the senior management team, the owners of the businesses. They have to want to embrace this change and see the benefits in this change going forward. Otherwise, the whole program would just crumbling down. And lastly, you have to capture your success criteria. You have to know what success means for this business, for this process, for this project. Because otherwise, how can you calculate whether it was a worthwhile investment? How can you track whether the business is actually benefiting from the journey that you've taken the company on? And it relates to your vision. Every company has objectives, has ambitions, has a vision. And if you don't relate the processes, the evolutions of technology back to this vision, it's going to fail. And it's showing here that where you have a project, a process in mind, a journey, that when it's grounded in the company vision, it's 30% higher to return a success against these measurable KPIs. And you don't have to go all the way to redefining your business or creating this brand new mission statement. It's very much just a vision that all employees at every level can understand how the new ways of working will bring value to the organization, how it will secure them better work, how it will help the business move forward, and ultimately help their role within their business as well. And we have to overcome these hurdles to change. Change is difficult, change can be met with resistance, but if you have the vision and it's on a well-defined path, people will see the benefits. And they'll see the benefits through having the use case scenarios examples as we talked about before. How will this new process help me? What would we like it to do? What are the expectations? What are the outcomes? How can the executive sponsors drive change? As we talked about, helping to identify these business scenarios, taking part in the vision to bring other people on board. Having participation, building that correlation with other people, and the communication with the rest of the company and the employees is absolutely crucial with any process to ensure it succeeds. So the Power Platform is an investment that Microsoft have been evolving. It started with Dynamics, which was very much one of these big, heavy ERP systems, and they've come forward into the no-code, low-code arena, which is enabling businesses and staff to develop and evolve their processes without having to spend tens of thousands of pounds and committing 6 months, a year of their business time. It's a very much a kind of low investment, high return. You can realize the benefits of the Power Platform very quickly, and it's removing these significant obstacles because it's driven by the staff, and it's not changing the way someone does their job. We're just evolving it and adapting it to make it more efficient. And over time, once businesses and employees realize the benefits that these changes are making, it begins to snowball and people start to come up with different ideas. And now more than ever, organizations have to embrace the value of using data to drive business outcomes. Many have adopted the cloud already, and once they've implemented the infrastructure for collecting the data, it's very much how can you make it work most efficiently and give the insights that will empower you to evolve. Microsoft and ourselves at First Digital, we talk about this digital feedback loop, which is an iterative process, very much designed around making a small change, reviewing the outcomes, learning from it, and making another small change so that you're adapting to the new variables and the new information that's been given to you. And these changes can be very quick and cost effective. And so the Power Platform is this integrated solution that can automate tasks and streamline processes. It's very much at the forefront of Microsoft's investment at the moment. It has a lot of different elements, varying from Microsoft Teams to Microsoft Flow, Power Apps and BI, but it links and it integrates with all of the existing platforms that you're already used to and that you use on a daily basis, like Outlook, like Excel, like SharePoint. And so the real true power of this platform is the ability to use the software that you're already investing in, you're already paying for, you already know how to use, but automating that data collection, that data transfer, allowing people to make decisions with the data in front of them, allowing people to reduce the time a process takes of copying and pasting or filling out forms. And so this is really designed at looking at maximizing people's time rather than repetitively going over the same mundane task day in, day out. As we come to the first element, which is the ability to build custom apps within Power Apps, this can be a small app, such as a form to do with the safety of a car, which currently is on paper, and that paper form that gets put into a paper tray. Someone then types it in or scans it to someone else. By creating a Power App, you can design that form so that it's easy for the employee to fill out, that the data goes straight to the people that need it or straight to the application, therefore reducing the number of touch points. We're reducing the amount of errors and mistakes that might happen on that form. We can do form validation, but we're putting the data straight into the hands of people that need it instantly. They're not having to go and search for it or walk across the office to grab the paper form and scan it and email it to the CEO. So it very much is looking at not replacing the human or the process, but how that process can evolve using technology that's available today. Power Apps now can be integrated into Teams so that you can access it and interact with it without having to leave Microsoft Teams. It can link to a number of different services, from LinkedIn to Twitter to Salesforce, and you can create bespoke connectors to grab data and interact with data sources external to Microsoft. But also Microsoft has a foundation called the Common Data Service that allows you to build a structure and a framework of data that can interact and move through the ecosystem to be able to efficiently build Power Apps, Power BI dashboards. Very quickly, there's a 1-minute video just explaining Power Apps probably much better than I can from Microsoft that I'd like to quickly play for you.
You're ready to take your business to the next level. Problem is, you're held back by processes that are manual and time-consuming. You can't find any off-the-shelf apps or services to solve your team's specific challenges, and you lack the developer budget to have a custom app built from scratch. Introducing Microsoft Power Apps, a powerful new way to turn business expertise into custom applications. With Power Apps, your team can quickly and easily create apps without writing a single line of code. That's right, the power to transform your business is in your hands. Power Apps has an intuitive design interface to guide you the whole way as you create apps for your team or business. Your app can integrate with data you already have or use our built-in platform. You can build apps for the web and mobile and take full advantage of your device's features. Plus, you can share apps with your team and quickly customize them as your business evolves. It's time to boost your team's productivity with a custom app that's exactly the right fit for your business. Ready to get started? Build your app today at powerapps.com or get in touch with a Microsoft partner to lend a hand.
So moving on from Power Apps to Power BI, which I have to say is a beautiful way of visualizing data and giving reports and data to the people that need it, not to replace their decision making, but enable them to make data-informed business decisions, having the crucial facts and figures they need throughout the business to enable them to ensure that those decisions are accurate. And we've all been there using existing CRMs, ERPs, different solutions that you create custom spreadsheets, you pull data out and you manipulate it in a way that you want to view it so that you can make those decisions and you've got the data in a way that makes sense to you. And that's the power of Power BI. It's enabling you to create dashboards, to see the figures and the facts, but you can then click through them and do a deep dive. So part of the example later will show that if you find an error in a number or you want to understand why a certain graph looks a certain way, you can work through that and then look at the raw data and understand it. It works really well. It works on phones, it works on laptops, you can stick it on a screen, you can share it within Teams. And I think the best bit about Power BI is the customizability. You're not defined by templates or pre-existing dashboards. You can tailor it to exactly what you need to see at the time you need to see it. So once again, there's a very quick 1-minute video that will do more justice of explaining Power BI than I just have.
When it comes to data, the faster you can turn this into this, the faster you can understand and use it all to make your business run better. With Microsoft Power BI, you can quickly connect to data, prep it, model and visualize as much or as little as you like, then securely share insights. Even embed it all into your app or website. To get started, download the free Power BI desktop application and hop right in. Soon you'll be connecting to hundreds of data sources on-premise or in the cloud, like Excel, Salesforce, Google Analytics, social networks, even IoT devices to get real-time information, and turning all that data into live interactive visuals. When you get the hang of that, upgrade to Pro. You'll need that to start collaborating freely, creating dashboards that deliver a 360-degree real-time view of your business, control how your data is accessed and used, and to package and deliver your stunning new content to users with apps of their own. The premium version is for really scaling up across larger enterprises and embedding content past your own digital properties without per-user licenses. And one more thing, want it all on mobile so you can react to changes on the fly? Here you go. With Power BI, we make it easy to always be in compliance too, for things like GDPR. Download the free Power BI application today and start turning your data into smarter decisions for your business.
So on from Power Apps and Power BI becomes Microsoft Flow, Power Automate, which is very much part of the brains that enables you to create automated workflows that could be quite simple in a process that you don't think that could be automated. So the one on the screen, when a file is created, get an approval and wait for the approval and then perhaps copy that file, rename that folder. It could be when an email is received, I want to alert someone. When a person submits a form in Microsoft Forms, copy that to a different folder and then go and get someone's approval via the app. And Power Automate Microsoft Flow connects all of these different elements together and tells the other parts of the Power Platform what and when to do. It can be very complicated, it can be very easy. Once again, the power is the imagination of the process in understanding what is achievable.
These days, there's a cloud service to do just about anything. The problem is, there's no good way to get your favorite apps to talk to each other, to connect them, and automate the tasks that are so time-consuming. Or is there? With Microsoft Flow, whether you start from a template or create your own multi-step flow across several apps, it's simple. Why constantly check email when you can get a text message anytime anyone important emails you? Automating that means you can use that time to do other things. And Microsoft Flow can really help get things connected. Say someone tweets about your company. Set up a flow that follows them, sends a nice reply, adds them to a spreadsheet that gets emailed to you for your approval, then adds their contact to Salesforce or Dynamics 365. And with the Microsoft Flow app, you can monitor, manage, and create flows from anywhere. For tasks that need to happen now, like instantly blocking out the next hour in your calendar, we've designed flows that start with a tap of a button. How about that? That's technology talking together, working smarter, so you can work less and do more.
So just before we move on to the next section, we do have a couple of questions in the Q&A. So is the common data service essential? No, it's not. So the power of the Power Platform is these connectors that can talk to lots of external apps that are already pre-built, so you don't have to custom code them. And it can pull and push that data. It can store it in spreadsheets, in SQL. The common data service can be used when you become and want to create more integrated applications, maybe larger applications within the business where it makes sense to store that data within Microsoft. But it's very much dependent on the process specific, what the outcomes of that process are. So no, CDS is not essential. There are lots of connectors and places to store the data. That would be evaluated as and when you're looking at the function and the prospects and the reason for that app. Another question is, how do we start when we are already running existing systems? Is there a way to migrate or run systems side by side? Absolutely. So we would look at these systems, these third-party processes, the third-party platforms, and depending on the size and scale, would very much look at migrating data, looking at connectors between the two, running them side by side so that you as a business, you're very comfortable with these platforms that you use. They might have been embedded in your business for multiple years, if not the entirety of your business. And so just moving over to a new application, a new process overnight may not fill people with joy and may leave them with some doubt. So we can very much look at how these two processes can run side by side, how the new process can take data from the current one and show you and build that confidence that it is capturing all the elements that you need and giving those reports. So a migration process and a journey with milestones can be put in place to minimize those risks and those concerns that people might have. And if we look at the slide at the moment, the Power Platform is very much engineered for people in all departments and all sectors. A lot of people, business employees will often think, oh, well, that's for the IT department, for the techies. You know, I don't need to know about Teams or Power Platform. And I think they'd be quite happily mistaken and been misled a little, because the Power Platform and Microsoft 365 can have an impact to anyone's role, because everyone in their working day goes through various processes, has various tasks that they complete, interacts with certain software. And if you were to sit down with any one of them, you could begin to identify where improvements could be made. And it could be someone that's in a warehouse, and they stack boxes or, you know, load things off a conveyor belt all day. How can technology help those people? Well, actually, we can look at what's the most efficient time, how many units are you doing, how do you tell the system how many boxes you've loaded, how does the system tell you when to unload the boxes, where to put those boxes, rather than you asking questions or putting them in the wrong place. So already a manual job can be improved with technology, right through to more technical roles with data analytics and dashboarding and team leaders. So it's just very much all elements of a business with the right time investment can start to realize what this platform can do for them. And this next slide is one of my favorites, because it just shows some of the examples and begins to hopefully get your ideas whirring a little bit. So Microsoft have identified that every business can be broken down into 4 key areas, which are your employees, your customers or clients, your operations, and your products or services. And it's very much how can the software and the platform that we invest in, being Microsoft 365, maximize those 4 areas and improve them. So whether it be empowering your employees to be self-service, and by self-service, we mean self-sufficient, the ability to complete their role, their day-to-day job, without necessarily always having to ask other people for advice, for help, for information. Do they know where to get that file? Do they know where to get that number, that piece of information, rather than walking across the office or through the workshop to go and ask someone else? Because what that enables them to do is to own their role, to own their job and have accountability, but also to strive to do better, because they're now self-sufficient. They're not relying on someone else to hold their hand and help them through that unless it's necessary. Another really good example is the onboarding process of a business, an onboarding process that every business has. And it's the first interaction that a new employee has with that company. It's how they're going to get their first thoughts and feelings about their new employer is the onboarding process. Are they being given all the information they need? Are they set up with all the systems and processes? And from a company point of view, how do you ensure that that is the same for every new employee? How do you report on that? How do you have that stability to make sure that that experience is the best it can be? And how do you track that so that things don't get forgotten, that you haven't forgotten that new member of staff's parking permit or their form they need to fill out for late working? Power Apps has the ability to take that and own that process and give you those insights, but also it can empower that new employee. So you can give them a checklist, you know, please watch these 3 videos, please complete these 2 forms, and they can track that. So from day one, you're showing how technology can give that person accountability and ownership of their role. If we move along to engaging with customers and the sales associate productivity, you know, when a sales rep, a salesperson, an account manager is talking to a client, a customer, they should have the information ready for that customer. They should know how much they've spent with you or what their problems are or if they raised a ticket last week. So by giving them the information through BI, through a Power App, that interaction with that customer becomes more meaningful, because they're not wasting time looking through documents, asking the customer to join their Wi-Fi because they haven't got their notes or their information for them. So that engagement becomes more powerful because you're focusing on that client. Obviously, looking at optimizing your operations is a great one. Looking at how those processes can be improved. Is there manual intervention that can be automated? Is there supply chain management or coordination of people? Logistics, ensuring the right route is being tracked or that lorries are being optimally loaded? Looking at operational effectiveness, what is the utilization of machinery, of equipment, of people, and live tracking, GPS? And then lastly, how do you transform your products? How can you ensure such things as defect management? How can you do inspections of vehicles, of shop floors? How are you collaborating and sharing ideas? How are you project managing certain elements and assigning tasks to people and meeting those deadlines? So I'd like to do a quick demo, if I may, of how Power Apps, Power BI, and all the other elements interact. And so for that, I just need to switch to a different screen. If you give me just a second. So hopefully you can all see that now. And this is a demo showing the end user experience, so how your employees and your staff will interact with Power Apps, Power BI. And so this is an example of a production line, and Jeff, the supervisor, is managing the production line at multiple factories, and they've built a shop floor management app to do this. And so from the home screen of this application, he can see all of the KPIs at the bottom. So he can see the days without injury at each site. He can see the overall equipment effectiveness. And he can scroll along and see all the different elements of that factory that they want to track. But then right here on the front of this app, we can see that there's a KPI that's below the expectation. It's below where they have set the parameter for that to be achievable. And so we'd like to investigate that further for the quadricopters element of this production line. So it now moves to a floor map of the warehouse, and you can see that the errors that are being flagged that are not meeting the standards, the indicators that there might be an issue. So we can just click through this issue, and it's giving us a summary, a reason why this area is on warning. And once again, we can just click through this app, and it takes us to a different part. And here you can see Power BI has been embedded, showing us the data that we need to see to assess why this conveyor has stopped working. So we can click the Power BI and it'll show us the outage. And it goes through all the different dates that are being tracked, this trend of throughput versus temperature. If we click the About section of the app, it's got the information we need, the technical specs, any how-to videos that you can embed or people might need in terms of understanding how to restart the machine, why the machine might fail, if there's any user guides, all within the app without having to leave this one application. We can look at the timeline of when these outages occurred. When was it last running at optimal mode? We can move along to the chat area. Now, one thing we've not talked about is Microsoft's Power Virtual Agents, which is the ability to create self-servicing bots, whether it be for internal or external. And these bots can be very powerful. They're very easy to build. They could just be for FAQs, such as how do I make the conveyor more efficient? Or they could be for more complex searches. So what was the production output of machine ABC yesterday? And that bot would then have the ability to go and query that database to find that piece of data and give you the answer back in the chat without you having to click through all the different spreadsheets and data to find the answer. So Power Virtual Agents and chatbots can be used very well and to a great extent if you have the process and the outcome and the vision in mind. Just putting a chatbot in so that you can talk to someone is perhaps not the best investment of time. We can move over to the support channel, which is embedded with Microsoft Teams. So once again, this team has been designed and the channel around the support of this conveyor, and it probably speaks to the engineering team or the manufacturing team. But Jeff doesn't have to leave this Power App to go into Teams to send this message. He can stay within the app, he can talk about the problem with the information he needs, that conveyor 1 is running at 56.89%, and he can get answers to those messages without leaving the app, which is crucial because that saves time and allows this problem to be fixed quicker. So this app has shown how Jeff can manage his production lines. It's pulling data from multiple places with IoT, with documentation, reporting, and Power BI. And as it says, it empowers Jeff to do his job more effectively while on the go. So if we just move back to our presentation. And the last thing I want to leave you with is one of my favorite quotes from Alan Turing, who I like to think of as the father of computing. So without Alan Turing all those years ago, we wouldn't be having these sorts of conversations about process automation and power apps and cloud and modern workforce technology, which is, we can only see a short distance ahead, but we can see plenty there that needs to be done. And that to me is really empowering and enabling, because hopefully this has started to inspire some ideas within your own business that you can start to think about, areas that can be improved. And we might only be looking 3 months ahead at a time, but there's so much to do, and all of those small, short baby steps that we can make affect the business's vision on a long term to enable them to meet those targets, those objectives, and to grow that business to stay sustainable. And so that really, to me, makes a big difference. Well, that comes to the end of this webinar about how the Power Platform can affect your business, improve your processes. Hopefully, as I said, that's started to inspire some ambition and given you some ideas. We would very much love a conversation with you, whether you'd like to get in touch with us through one of our social channels or our website. We will be following up this webinar with everyone that joined. This recording is available if anyone would like it, and we'll be putting this out on our blogs and through our website. Please do look out for our next webinar, which will be coming up in the future, which will probably go into more depth, maybe into Microsoft Teams and how that can be maximized within a business. But otherwise, thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a splendid weekend. Thank you.